Good morning. If we can elect a chairperson for today's hearing, please.
Thank you, members, and good morning. Am I agreeing the minutes to agree that the chairperson, after consultation with the other members of the panel, sign the record of the meeting outside this meeting? That agreed with members here. I have no urgent matters by reason of special circumstance. Are there any declarations of the disclosable pecuniary interest or other significant interest, members, on this agenda item today? Okay, Nicola, we can release Councillor Brake. I understand Councillor Brake's on course. We don't need our fourth member this morning. Good morning. We'll just introduce ourselves. Councillor Scott.
Good morning. I'm Councillor. Good morning. I'm Councillor Joanne Howcroft Scott from Luton.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris Webb. I'm representing the City of Rochester Society.
Licensing consultant.
Partner.
Katie Honeywood, Assistant Licensing Manager.
Kyle Rogers, Legal Advisor to the panel.
Nicola Couchman, Democratic Services Officer, and I'm here to keep a record of the meeting.
Councillor Hazel Brown, Councillor for Twiddle.
And I'm Councillor Dan MacDonald. I'm the chair of the licensing panel. Can I just ask you, when you're going to speak, you only have to press it once and then pull away. So once the red light's on, you can then speak, okay? So you don't have to hold it down, okay? Okay, we're going to item 6, which is the full variation application for the premises licence at the King's Head Hotel, 58 High Street, Rochester. Katie, are you giving an overview?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. On the 28th of November 2025, we received a full variation application for the premises licence at King's Head Hotel, 58 High Street, Rochester. The current premises licence allows for sale-by retail of alcohol, live music, recorded music, dancing, films, and indoor sporting events Sunday to Wednesday between 7 AM and midnight, and Thursday to Saturday between 7 AM and 1 AM. In addition, the premises has late night refreshment Sunday to Wednesday between 11 PM and midnight, and Thursday to Saturday between 11 PM and 1:30 AM. A copy of the current premises licence can be found at Appendix A on pages 11 to 17. This application is to add an additional hour to the closing time for the current licensable activities. A copy of the application can be found at Appendix B on pages 19 to 37. During the consultation, we received one representation from a member of public. This can be found at Appendix C on pages 39 to 40. It is for the panel to decide on the appropriate action for this application, taking into account all the evidence brought to your attention, both written and oral, alongside the Licensing Act 2003 and its associated guidance. The panel can decide to grant the licence as applied for, amend the application, add or amend conditions, refuse the application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katie. Now we're going over to the applicant, or are you going to present the case for us? Okay, thank you.
I am representing the applicant. We're here today having made an application to extend the existing hours of the licensed premises by 1 hour only. The reason we need to make this application is at present the King's Head is only open on Fridays and Saturdays because of the lack of trade. And I'm sure the panel are well aware of the number of pubs that are shutting. It was over one a day shutting in 2025. And we need to extend the hours so that that encourages more people to come in the pub on those days, and then possibly extend more opening in the week. We also have an issue at the moment because the pub next door, the Jolly Knights, is closing half an hour earlier than its licensed times, and that is causing people to stand outside the pub, our pub, when we are closing, and that's an issue of public safety. So by us staying open later, we will avoid the a milling effect in the high street. You got anything more?
Where did the other pub? Where the other pub closes? Oh, okay, I thought it's fixed. Where the other pub closes, it's supposed to close at 1 o'clock. Now it closes at 12:30. What they're doing is they're coming outside because the kicking out time is 15 minutes. They come outside 1:45, and they're waiting around for us to shut at 1 o'clock so that they can then wait to see who's coming out of ours, if there's any young girls coming out or anything like that, to sort of to approach them and things. So it's causing the conflicts outside the venue. Yeah. So by extending it to past, although we're going for 2 o'clock, what we're going to do, we're going to sort of close it as it needed, and to let them out slowly and that, so we don't have to worry about any congregations outside and any prominent disorder outside the venue. I'll pass you back, Jeremy.
That's right. I would mention that the applicant applied for temporary event notices in the autumn to trial this later opening. None of the tens were objected to and were granted without objection, and there have been no complaints from licensing or the police about the late operation, and indeed the applicant was encouraged by the police to extend, and saying that you should be extending your hours. The applicant attends a monthly meeting with the police, and they've had no objections raised to the later running, or indeed generally about the pub. And there have been no objections to this application by police or the fire brigade or anyone else. The only objection has been by Mr. Webb.
Thank you very much. Mr. Webb, would you like to ask the applicant some questions? I mean, there's questions at this moment in time, yeah?
Right, yeah, I think it's working. Good. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, what I want to try and get into my head is how your business operates. That's what I'm interested in. You said when you explained about the application that the purpose of it, and you explained why you wanted to do it. I think probably my first question is, given the hours that you've already got, what would this 1 hour extension exactly then allow you to do that's extra? Can you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, it would be an extra hour of trade, which would... Sorry.
I'm sorry, I thought we had to answer.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, sorry, yes. So by extending an hour of licensing, it gives an extra hour of trade, and it also stops the problem outside that is currently there, caused by the other pub shutting early. There are a number of other venues in Rochester that have later licensing, so five, some of them till 4 o'clock. This is not that late. It's only an hour later, and this went on throughout the autumn without objection. And we've not received any objections. There's no objections from any member of the public. You're here in your capacity as a representative of the Rochester Society. So we've not had any objections from the police. So that's how we...
You've given us an award before as well.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you for that. Just on what you said about the police, I was interested to hear you say that the application had been encouraged by the police. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, what's happened is obviously at the end of the night when the police actually said to us, "Why don't you lot stay open till 2 o'clock in the morning?" You know, they've made comments before to us about that, about it ourselves. Because
Just for clarity, it's just for clarity for that question. You haven't been told to apply for it.
Oh no, not like that.
So when
no,
you say you've
just,
been encouraged, the encouragement is
they've told us.
We want to be clear because if the police
part
are
of them,
involved in this,
yeah, no, part of them was there, right? Yeah,
okay.
they're just
But
like
they haven't
the
told
beat
you
officers have
they haven't told you to apply.
No, the beat officers have said to us before, "Why don't you go till 2 o'clock? Because you've still at 1 o'clock we've still got a full venue."
Okay.
You know, and then what happens is that you're letting them all out together by going a little bit further with their time. It will stagger people leaving, and also it will stop the congregation outside by the other pub shutting. Because if you're going to close,
Stick to the questions for a second. Then.
Yeah, if we're going to close at 1:30, what then it does is it stops people waiting outside. No one's going to wait outside 45 minutes to see who comes out of the venue. At the moment, what they're doing is they're waiting to chat girls up when they come outside. So it's longer. You know, it's less time for them to sort of wait around.
Mr Webb, if we just go, Mr Webb, next questions?
Yeah, okay, thank you,
Just turn
Chair.
that
Yeah,
mic off, please.
thank you for that answer. Right. Can you just tell us briefly what is your client base? What type of trade are you aiming at?
Our trade obviously over 18s. Our main trade in there probably is 21 years old plus. It's all nice people. If you look at some of the other venues, we're very, very strict on the door. I've got a massive background. I used to run Amadeus back in the day, which is 2,770 capacity nightclub. You know, very busy nightclub, and that attract lots of people from different areas. I've got a lot of experience, and I'm there majority of the time myself as well, on that front door with my door team. And we are very, very strict on who we let in. We don't let a lot of people out of town in. We don't let any idiots in there. Anyone who's caused trouble. You know, I used to run Bar Rio back in the day in Gillingham. I've been around for such a long time that I know all the faces that are going to cause problems. We don't let them in. Our venue is probably one of the least trouble venues on the high street, I'd say. We go to licensing meetings every month, and our name is never on the board for problems.
Okay, that's it, right. Okay. Just moving on from that, can you just tell us a little bit about what your actual admissions policy is? I mean, do you have a dress code?
Which we do. Obviously, during the day it's more relaxed. If we open at 2 o'clock on a Friday and Saturday, during the daytime it's a bit more relaxed because you get people coming out of work and things like that. But after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like no tracksuits in there, no gym wear. Like we don't mind trainers in there, but as long as they're not gym trainers, you know, or for building site. And so we don't encourage the after work drinkers in there. If you know what I mean, groups of blokes coming in there after. It's not what we're about.
Okay, no, that's not.
It doesn't suit our
fine.
venue.
No, that's fine. Just a couple of real practical points which are incredibly important. If you have customers turn up at the premises, and it will happen, it just happens, it's the way things are. If you have customers that turn up and attempt to gain entry, and it's quite clear that they're already intoxicated, would you prevent them from coming in?
Of course, we would definitely. That's part of our licensing conditions. You know, it's the law, isn't it? You don't, not to serve people alcohol and that if they're intoxicated.
Okay,
Anyway. We are very strict to that.
Assuming that somebody's on the premises, I'm not saying they are intoxicated. Assuming that someone's on the premises, and as the evening wears on, as happens, they are clearly then intoxicated in the premises. I presume that all of your staff are under a specific instruction not to serve an intoxicated person. Is that correct?
Definitely, but 9 times out of 10, when it gets to that point, we're not a very big venue. If you look at us, I don't know if you know, if you're actually aware of the venue itself, and that we have 3 to 4 door staff on the Friday and Saturday nights, which is more than for the size of it is more than sufficient. And if you look at some of the bigger venues, they only have like 5 on, for example, or 4 on. So we're very, very sort of on the ball with everything. We have. Where my background is really specialised in security, we have raised points around the venue. If you walk through the door on the left-hand side, I built a box there, the door so I can stand on so they can see the whole venue from that. Again, by the bar, there's another raised point, like it's just on the corner of the stage. The door so I can stand in, they can see the whole venue and see what's going on. Because obviously, you know, it's in our interest to prevent any problems before it starts. If you know what I mean.
Okay. No.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yep. No, that's okay. Yeah. Thank you for answering that. Again, I'm just because it is important, and it can affect the way that a premises is run, dependent on the clientele. I was just looking out of interest at your Facebook page, and on it, just to give a couple of quotes, it says, Medway's ultimate Saturday night destination, grab your mates and hit the dance floor. Then it refers to turning the volume up. Also, on the Facebook page, it advertises jam jar cocktails, vodka, Malibu, all at £2.50.
It's a very old promotion. We don't with Thursday nights. That was a Thursday night promotion. We tried to get more trading.
You can guess where I'm coming from, because to charge for alcohol at those prices is positively encouraging people to get absolutely sloshed. I'll be
Like I
blunt.
said, that was a Thursday night promotion. If you look at that, and that's not. We don't even open Thursday nights no more. Even that didn't entice them in. So we don't. So that promotion didn't work. We're not even open Thursday nights no more. So we've had no, as far as noise goes, like cranking up volume, we've had no noise complaints.
Okay.
There's been no. We've got neighbours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was answering the noise one.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. As the chair said, thank you. You've answered the question. I've only got a couple of other questions. For my sins, I worked as licensing manager at Medway Council for a long time. In those days, there was a system in the high street where the premises effectively were linked up by phone, and if there was aggro, to put it in simple terms, at the premises, other premises would be informed in case those people perhaps who've been ejected from somewhere tried to get in. Does that still exist?
It does, yeah. It's nighttime economy. We have meetings every month with them, sort of thing. And there's radios, and where we are, we're very lucky outside Kings Hill. We've actually got a town camera right outside our pub, so we're actually quite lucky with that. But we have got radio, so if we kick someone out, we radio ahead, so the whole high street knows. And more than likely they won't get in anywhere else. It's hard to describe everyone exactly, but yeah, 9 times out of 10 they won't get any other venues.
Okay.
It still exists.
My only other question is, and it was just coincidental, and I just want you to make a comment. In the media at the end of last week, they reported that there was an incident on the 21st of December at your premises around midnight when there was a violent, unprovoked attack on a customer. If you are able to recall that, was that alcohol related?
No, it actually wasn't. They wasn't intoxicated at the time. I was actually one of the first people to attend that incident. I was there myself,
right?
And Jay, the other door staff, and the other doorman coming afterwards, and that. And it was literally one headbutt. We got it straight in there. That's how quick it was in there. It was split up, and they were taken out. And the police were actually outside at the time, so we did everybody. But the police took over outside. We didn't have to do nothing else after that. Unfortunately, you are going to get them. The whole of December, we actually had a really good December this year. Again, it was only Friday and Saturday trade. We had a really good trade, probably the best we've had. And we've only had 2 incidents in the whole of December, and that was the only one involving a headbutt.
No, I don't potentially. My absolute last question is, if the panel agree to your application for an extra hour, are you then effectively operating as a nightclub?
No, we just keep up with the times, really. I mean, it's crazy how after lockdown everything changed. Our pub itself, although we open at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we don't actually get busy till 10 o'clock. If you look down the high street, you've got City Wall, they're open till 2 o'clock. You've got George Vault's open till 2 o'clock. Oliver's open till 4 o'clock. You've got Casinos, the nightclub itself, open till 4 o'clock. They've all extended their hours. Casinos was 3 o'clock. They've gone to 4 o'clock. What I'm trying to get a point is we've had to sort of move with that as well. We've moved with the times. If we sit back and don't look at our business and think how can we improve it, we're gonna have 4 doormen out of job. We're gonna have a manager out of job. We're gonna have 2 cleaners out of job. We're gonna have 8 or 9 bar staff out of job and 4 glass collectors. We have to roll with time, and ourselves. That business pays our bills. Pays our rents and our electric and everything else. We have to keep with it. If you recall before, I've been involved in that pub for 13 years. Before that, it was a mess, that pub. We went in there, you gave us an award for it, well, maybe not yourself, but your society gave us an award for doing it all up. Thank you very much. No, thank you, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. I just want to make it clear as well that Mr. Webb was in licensing long before our time. So just to let you know from counselling point of view, just to make sure we get that clear. Okay, Councillor Scott.
Yes, thank you. I've got just a couple of questions. Yeah, there's no nepotism here, I promise you. Obviously, we have a community impact policy or community impact policy for a reason. So in your submission, I don't think you've proved to me that your extending of 1 hour won't cause any more problems than we already have on the high street. That's question number 1. you want me to say it again?
Go on, please do.
Okay, so obviously Rochester, and you've noted that there's a lot of nightclubs and pubs and establishments that have varying hours of opening. You're requesting in a community impact zone, if you like, or following their community impact policy, that you would like this additional hour. But in your presentation to this panel, to me, you haven't proved it won't cause any more harm on the high street. You know, there's mentions of what it is like on the high street, and I actually do live quite close as well. So that's the first question.
Now, I think we have mentioned that the later opening will prevent the issue that we've got in the high street at the moment, is that the pub next door is kicking out at 12:30, and we're shutting at 1, and therefore the crowds from the pub next door are hanging around waiting for other see who's coming out of our club. So by extending later, it won't we alleviate that problem. The pub has an admissions policy. No one's coming in after 12, right? So that all it means is that they're staying in later until possibly 2 o'clock, but more likely to probably 1:30. So it isn't. What we're trying to do is going to help Rochester High Street, not cause more problems. There will be less people coming out at that point at the 2 o'clock, whereas at the moment you've got people coming at 12:30 and 1 o'clock.
Sorry, Councillor Scott, could you just answer the question around the CIA, around the cumulative impact area and on the high street, because you should know that as obviously you know what goes on down there and how the police are working. So how are you preventing that?
Sorry. Yeah, we work very closely with the police on the high street. They literally, they're pretty good on the high street. You sort of radio it up and they do come straight down. They carry the licence officer. We work very close in hand down with, when there's things, she'll ring us up and tell us, what's going on. We're all linked together with radio, so we sort of we try and prevent. I mean, there was a situation last year, sometime I think, or maybe longer than a year ago now. There was a group of there was a football match, a local football team was playing, and they were going to clash. And they went to Wetherspoons, they kicked off in there, and they were going up the high street, kicking off everywhere at high street. But by the time they got to our end of the high street, we was already aware of them. We didn't stop. We stopped them coming in. By linking us all, by being linked and everything, I think it stops all the problems. Is that?
Yeah. Sorry. Just for clarity, can you explain to me what you think the community impact policy is?
This has an impact on the community. How will it will increase violence or problems or I guess, yeah.
Sorry, just asking the representative, you know what we are talking about, the cumulative impact area, and we have a policy here in Medway. Are you aware of?
I'm not aware of that.
You're not aware of that? Okay.
I'm not local, so.
No, but from a licensing perspective, most areas in the country have them. So I'm just asking whether you're aware of that, but that's why you're not getting the answer to your question.
Yeah. Okay, I have a few more. Can you present any evidence to our panel that, you're having an additional hour will not worsen the nuisance or the high impact of antisocial behaviour or intoxication on the high street?
I thought we've already answered that in the sense of, maybe I'm sort of mistaken on it, but by extending it, it's going to stop. It's going to actually prevent and lessen it, because obviously there's not going to be a congregation of people outside on the high street at the same time. It's going to stagger. It's going to stagger from our point of view. People by 1 o'clock will start leaving slowly to go to casinos, to go to late night venues that open late at night, and obviously spread it on. And by the pub next door closing early, we're not going to congregate outside the venue and causes a problem, which we've got to deal with, and they're not even our customers, because they've come out, they've been drinking next door, spending the money next door, and come out, stand outside the King's Head, and wait for people to come out, and there's always clashes. You know, people see each other that they didn't like before, and that this way it just spreads it. If they've been in a venue and there's been no incidents, our customers ain't going to fight themselves outside. But if there was someone next door that they didn't notice, they didn't see before, when they come outside, they're going to see them outside and go, "Oh, there's so and so," and possibly start a altercation with them.
Yeah. Obviously, this question is about what do you propose to have as additional safeguards or any safeguards to prove that it won't cause major problems. What I'm hearing is because the venue next door has a licence till 1 o'clock and they're letting people out at 12:30, that accumulation of people is on the streets. So you're going to scoop them up and let them drink for an additional time. Oh,
Sorry. So I did.
Not, we do.
I did mention that the venue, you don't let people in after 12. Yeah, after 12:30, so 12 o'clock at the moment, but certainly 12:30. So we're not letting in people from next door. This is not to scoop up more trade. This is to encourage the existing people to stay, because we can stay on longer, and prevent an overflow into the high street of people at the same time as another pub is kicking out. It's quite common to have staggered licensing along a strip.
I run the venue.
But they're going shorter.
Mostly, I mean, I'm there myself 9 times out of 10 on the evenings I'm there, and I don't want. Once you've gone and spent your money somewhere, I don't want you coming to my venue drunk, causing me a problem. Then you're my problem. I'd rather not let you in, because on the CCTV outside, you can see what pub you come out. So when they cause the problem, it's not my issue. It'll be the Joy Nice issue. I don't want to let people in my venue that haven't been drinking and spending their money in my venue be my problem later on. I wouldn't want them in there.
no, but being devil's advocate, you want an extra hour to ply
Not for that.
people with drink. So that will have an impact on the problems on the area. As our chair is very experienced in licensing, we have a community impact policy for a reason, and that's why people do have different lengths of licensing times, so that not everybody's out on the street at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or whatever. So that's what I'm trying to get at.
It's George. The next nearest licence at 2 o'clock is George Vaults. The nearest one to us is 2 o'clock is George Vaults, and that's 2 o'clock on a Saturday, 1 o'clock on a Friday. So it's only there isn't on my end of the high street. There isn't that many later on. It's an earlier finish anyway. So that if you look down the high street, it's predominantly been they start at the Crown and they do like a pub crawl. They go all the way down the high street and end up, because the casinos and Oliver, the late night 4 o'clock venues and City Wall being 2 o'clock. By that point, they're all down that end of the high street anyway, because they want to be there to get to their venues.
I just want us to concentrate on your premises at
Yeah,
the
I'm
moment,
saying
because
they're
we look at
moving down,
each premises
yeah.
and how it works. Carl, can I just ask you really briefly? Really briefly, just because we've mentioned it so much this side. Could you just explain what the SIP and the CIA is from a local policy perspective that we have in place at Medway? If because it is across the country, I just want so you're aware of it. So because we're talking about it, but you're obviously not all aware of it.
Thank you.
So very simply, cumulative impact policy is put in place because the cumulative impact of licensed premises is affecting the licensing objectives so much in an area that the cumulative impact is too much, basically. And a local authority has taken a stand to say that that things need to be done, to put it simply. So the question really that's being asked is, how do you propose to show that in granting this application, you will not be adding to the cumulative impact of the already impact that's there? That's essentially it.
Well, I repeat that at the moment you're saying that the pub next door can open till 1, but it's shutting early. The licensing doesn't have, I don't think they can have authority to say to people what time they shut. But they're letting them out early, which is causing a problem, which is having an impact, a community impact on it by their actions, because they are kicking out, and then it's very close to, by the time they get out 1:45, it's very close to the time we're kicking out, and that's causing a problem. So your phasing of licensing hasn't worked there because someone has curtailed the time that they're opening. So therefore, in order to deal with that, we want to go longer. But even if if we, at the moment that people are leaving at 1, they will only be going up the road to the other places anyway and moving along. So if they're staying in our premises, they're not going up to the other premises, which also shut at 2, and then the last one is at 4.
I think I just want
Also,
to.
yeah.
I'm going to go to Councillor Brown now. I don't want to open it again because you're not hitting the question. Let me just finish.
Yeah,
If
sorry.
you could turn your microphone off. The question is around understanding what the SIP and the CIA is here in Medway and across the country as a policy. I can assure you, Jeremy, from what you're commenting on, we have very strict licensing guidelines. When you're saying it doesn't work, we rely on premises to come to us around their licensing. We can't make them stay open longer or earlier. But what we do as a licensing committee and as the licensing team is look at the whole structure of the high street and how it operates together. And if some of it then clashes all together, what problems that hits with public health and with our police. That's what the policy is on. Councillor Brown, I'll go to you.
Thanks for putting your case to us. You mentioned that you had applied for and received event licenses to cover this additional hour. How many of those did you apply for and how many were you granted?
There was no more available.
There are no more 10s available to them. So the full amount of the 10s, I didn't do the 10s, but the full amount of the 10s have been used last year. So,
How many was that?
well, the maximum is 21 days.
We ask Katie as the full.
it
Well,
says
Katie can answer.
it's
Katie
21
can
days,
Yeah, but
that's
Katie can
fine.
just clarify whether that's all.
21 days is the maximum.
About 4 weeks in November and the first week in December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can confirm that they did apply for their full permitted limits of the 10s because the last tent they applied for was
Well,
counter
pretty much,
notice
that's
because
right.
you exceeded your permitted
That's
limits,
right,
but
that's
they
right.
did exceed the amount.
Right, I just want to follow this line just for a minute. And you applied for some of those as standalone, like single events, or were they over a weekend, or were they like 10 days in a row? Because I'd like to try and understand how that worked.
So they started at 1 o'clock, sorry, they started at 1 o'clock Saturday morning, which covered the Friday, 2 o'clock Saturday morning, so we could trade later on the Friday, and then the Sunday from Saturday night. But we only went till past anyway, didn't we? Yeah.
We got down to 2 o'clock.
Just that I understand. They were only over weekends and they were to cover the 2 nights at weekends. Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if there was any difference over the Christmas or anything like that. I'm trying to understand how that worked for you. So you did it as a sort of market research. Yeah. You say it worked very well. Okay. Does that mean there were no incidents of, was there was no incidents on the premises? Were there any incidents?
Sorry, when people are answering, sorry, Councillor Brown, I need the microphones to go on. When there's an answer, if we can just ask the question, and if you can, no, it's not you, it's just the microphones. I'm aware that we're not picking up.
During the temporary event notices, we didn't have any incidents, no. The one on the 21st, the gentleman, Mr. Webb, pointed out wasn't on temporary event notice, it was just a normal night.
Thanks very much.
Okay. I just need to understand a couple of things that I think from me. First of all, I'm not quite getting the crowd outside, and you need the extra hour because you're keeping people locked in because you don't want to let them in, but they're hanging around outside. I'm still trying to understand how that works, because are you saying that by the extra hour, all those people waiting outside, anyone attempted to come in, you're gonna, if you just wait and then you can go for the microphones. I just want to make sure you get your response. Are you saying that those people outside that are hanging around, not one of those individuals are going to be coming into your bar? So how are you going to police that? So you're asking for an extra hour? Are you closing your doors So if I come down at 1:30 in the morning, I'm not going to get in.
Guaranteed, you turn up 1:30, you won't get in. We'll probably be closed by 1:30 anyway. What we want to do, we want to monitor the outside, we want to monitor the situation. But when we've done our temporary event notices, 7 times out of 10, we closed it at 1:30 because by that point, the pub next door cleared and they'd all disappeared. So we closed by 1:30. So 9 times out of 10, if you turn up, we'll be closed anyway. We will let people in up to 12:30. Yeah, we let people in 12:30. What we have a policy. If you look at, I can probably find it on the camera and show you as well. Every person that comes in, we stamp them. That's from about from about 8 o'clock when the dawn will start. They get stamps, so we know who's been in the venue and who hasn't been in the venue, and we work. And again, our door team's always SIA trained and everything else, and they've been around on the high street for a long time. They know the face. We know everyone. We recognise most of the people on the high street, so we know who's been in our venue and who hasn't been in our venue. Sorry? Yeah, we don't allow. There's no glass and nothing outside. We don't allow that after 10 o'clock.
I think I'm just, it's just trying to understand about the, you're then a closed venue just to the people that are inside at that point.
Can I just make
I don't know how that can be managed or
Right,
checked.
well, I can make a couple of points. First, you said we're locking people in. We're not locking people in. But just to make clear, they're not held hostage until to kick out. I just for the record. And the second point is all these people coming out of the pub are not trying to get into the club. They're just waiting for the King's Head to kick out. They're not trying to get in. If they do try to get in, they're not coming in because the staff won't let them in. We don't want them coming in for the last half. We're not last half hour place. And so this change won't change things very much, in our belief, on the high street because it will just move it a little bit later than we could be tipping them out now. As Iltan says, probably by 1:30 we'd be ending anyway because people who want to go on to a club will have left.
I suppose what I'm getting at is you opened if you just turn your microphone off there, sorry, because it doesn't work most of the time. I suppose what I'm trying to get at is you opened your statement by saying, pubs are struggling now, et cetera. But it doesn't seem to me that the extra hour is giving you extra business, is it? Apart from the people that are inside your venue anyway. But what I'm trying to say is you're making the stand that the real reason you only want that extra hour, it's just me understand. You either want the extra hour because you want to keep your regular customers in and keep the money in, and it's not because of the people standing outside, right? Because you're not letting them in anyway. You're not there to crowd control the high street or crowd control areas of that. That's up to the police and people that are doing it. And it's a shame they're not here today because we could have had that clarity. But the police of that high street, as you've seen them, they're up and down there all the time, and they're around there when they can. That isn't down for a licensing. That's not licensing about the outside areas and who's standing around. It's because you want extra custom for that extra time.
What it is we've got two choices. We either close earlier or close a little bit later. Of course, closing earlier would just have such a big effect on our takings. The main reason why we've looked at it was the problems that it was causing on the high street outside. That's the main reason why we looked at this situation. We looked at it and thought we're going to either go close earlier or close later. If you had the choice to close earlier or later and keep the customers inside the venue, don't forget it costs us money for door staff. It costs us money for we're not going to be making that much more money out of it. I don't want other people's customers where they've got drunk somewhere else, they've come in intoxicated and want to get into my venue and buy one drink and then maybe be sick or cause a problem. We don't want that. We don't want that sort of custom. We've got nice people in our venue. All I want to do is stagger the people leaving it, and we had a choice whether it's going to be later or earlier. Of course, you want to go for the later.
We would agree to a restriction saying no entrance after 12:30.
I'm not. Let me just make it. If you just say my question,
sorry.
I'm not trying to catch you out here. What I'm trying to say is that the transparency is always the good thing here, isn't it? And transparency around, you want to keep, you want to do that bit extra because your current customers are inside, and you still make money from that. That's not down to our business. The business is not down to us. It's the safety and all of that. So however you operate your business is down to you. It's around the safety for us and licensing objectives. I suppose for me, if you're telling me the main issue, we have an issue, don't we, with regards to the police. If there's a major thing where people are crowding outside your venue, then that can be dealt with in a different way rather than having an hour's opening. That's what I'm trying to say. If it's about trying to keep up with the market and that, then we should be saying that. That's what I'm trying to say, rather than trying to make it down to young girls and crowds outside.
We accept that. I opened it and said we need to for extra trade, but they are concerned with the crowds outside. And I know you say that's not their problem, but it would be a problem because if fights kick off between customers from one coming others, that might impact on the licensing renewal. So it is of importance to the applicant that is done.
Objectives as well, public safety.
But one of the objectives of public safety and impact on the community as well.
So can I just ask? When you go to your police meetings, have you mentioned the crowd and how worried you are about the crowd? Have you told the police in meetings that you're worried about the crowding outside, or have you told licensing that there's an issue with the crowding outside and it's causing you worried about your objectives being hit?
If Carrie, licensing officer, was here today, she'll tell you I've had chats with her twice, on maybe 2 or 3 times on a different occasion, even when she's been to our pub. And I've spoken to her on the door when she's doing her licensing checks, and I've mentioned it to her in the meetings as well. I have mentioned it to her, yes.
And in police as well?
Well, she is police licensed, isn't she, Carrie? So
in your police meetings, have you said anything?
that's what I'm saying. She's been
so
on
that's
so
just a one-to-one, not in the. Okay.
Oh no, I've done it with Carrie on a meeting as well, on one of the licensing meetings.
Okay. And licensing team as well. Have you mentioned it to any of your
No,
licensing?
obviously we haven't mentioned it to her. No. But Carrie's well aware of it. If you ask her a reason for this application, she's
Like I say, it's a shame they're not here, because they're not here going against the application, but they're not here also defending your application either. That's a very good question, but that's something I'll take out this meeting. Okay, so just clarifying what you're asking for the panel again, for the whole. You're asking for not just a weekend, are you? You're asking for longer. Tell me what you're asking for.
Well, we're asking for an hour extension throughout, because if we can increase for the whole week, because if we can increase trade, we will. But at the moment, the pub is only open on Fridays and Saturdays and other events, private events. So at the moment, but we don't want to be coming back. If we can increase trade and it's more profitable, then we might start opening on a Thursday, and that's great for employment and everything else. So that's why we've done a full extension of all the hours. We're not serving food, but we did an application to extend everything. So,
but are you considering opening all week?
not at the moment. Sorry. Not at the moment, because there's no trade on the high street. There's no reason for it. And I think the main reason why, like we had a 50th birthday party on Sunday, for example, they wanted to go till 12 o'clock, and so they wanted to go till 1 o'clock. They wanted to go for. They wanted to go till 1 o'clock. We closed at 12 o'clock for them, and they sort of weren't very happy. But they could have gone somewhere else for that. It's just giving that option. Once in a blue moon, we have a birthday party. It's 50. Dolce & Gabbana hired it out, and it was a really good event in there. But it just gives that flexibility to offer it during the week if they need to. We certainly wouldn't do a private party on a weekend, close on a weekend to do a private party. So it just gives us a choice during the week if someone wants to have a party and a birthday party or something, to do something for them.
But your main hours are the main focus at this moment in time is your weekends, your Friday and Saturdays.
100%, yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Did you have one more question you want to come in with? Or
No, my question was, you've mentioned the licensing objectives, which is great, and you've mentioned the public safety one, which is the one that you're trying to enhance or address some issues of it. Because it is in a cumulative impact area, is there it's one, as Councillor MacDonald said, the issue that sparked your thoughts on this is actually a police issue, the congregation outside. are there any of the other licensing objectives that you feel that you have or will be putting in place something to, strengthen them if you got the additional hour?
But underage children, obviously, we do IDing everyone that comes in, like check ID. So
We've also, so it's only recently we actually upped it. We did used to only have 3 doormen now, so we've got 4. We've put an extra doorman on, and the main reason for that again is to be able to control the outside as well as the inside. I know the outside's got nothing to do with us, but the police isn't always there. There was an incident at the bottom of High Street, and there was an incident at the George Vaults. They couldn't even get to him in time. We actually went and supported the George Vaults doorman and helped them out. The point I'm trying to get across is, you say it's the police matter, which I agree with you, but the police isn't always there when you want them. Unfortunately, I'm not. They do a great job. I'm not slagging anyone off for it, but sometimes they'll come really quick. Sometimes it takes them out. There was a bloke he up Rochester when that was open, he put his fist through the window, and we went up there because someone told us it had gone on because they're friends of ours as well, and the bloke's hand was pouring out with blood and that, and
that's fine.
there was no police or nothing in sight.
I just want to help you and be clear, I suppose, is that even though you did run up and help the other bars, you obviously left you had enough door staff in your venues to keep it safe. You don't have to answer that one, but I'm just making sure. That's okay. That's okay. Can I just ask?
So when the doormen finish other venues, we top up. They top up us.
Just my final one, actually, Councillor Brown reminded me. So it's just the comment you made around you're not letting people in out of town. What does that mean?
You get groups of guys coming in from out of town. For example, we check everyone's IDs, whether you look 40 odd or whether you look 50. We will check your IDs, know where you're coming from. If we look at the IDs and we see there's too many people coming up from Sitting Bull, we think, what's going on here? And we'll actually stop you. We'll stop majority. We'll let 10 of you in, for example, and after that we'll say no more in, because we have got the right to refuse entry. And we think, what's going on? There's 20 people coming up from Sitting Bull, and there's a gang practically. So we'll stop you coming in, so we don't have the problem. We used to have that policy at Amadeus as well. Everywhere I've worked.
I mean, you are right. It's entirely up to you. I suppose what I just want to make clear from a licensing and from a council perspective is that we're inclusive of everybody. You have your right. If there's a big stag do coming in or something like that, then obviously, or there's a crowd that you don't want in, of course. I just wanted to be sure that you wouldn't stop any, because Rochester, you don't have to answer it honestly, but Rochester High Street and Medway towns are an inclusive. We want people to come in. It's a tourist area as well, and but you can manage that, I'm sure. It's fine, yeah. But you have that right. It's not our right on who you let in, obviously. Thank you very much for that. I'm now going to ask the objector to put his case forward.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Chair. Just so as the panel is clear, I'm speaking to this representation on behalf of the City of Rochester Society. In context, the Society currently has some 500 members, many of whom, and this is important, live close in or adjacent to Rochester High Street. Again, in context, we only put in representations on planning and licensing applications where we have serious concerns. We do consider that this is a case where we have had some serious concerns. We have actually been approached by some of our individual members in the society and local residents and businesses also expressing their concern. We've also asked that we make that clear to the panel. In an effort to be balanced, we accept the economic need for businesses to thrive, but you've got to strike a balance that should not be at the expense of increasing an unacceptable impact on residents and the local community. Our representation and the reasons is set out in full at Appendix C, so you'll be relieved to hear I won't be going through it line by line. Just to highlight one or two points which I think are probably the most important ones. Paragraph 1 is the licensing objective of the prevention of crime and disorder. It's already been mentioned that the premises lies within the Rochester High Street cumulative impact area. And that, of course, does identify Rochester High Street as basically high risk in terms of crime and disorder, public and noise nuisance, etc. Many of these risks are alcohol related, and the variation seeks to increase the current hours so there is, to our way of thinking, an obvious potential for this to increase. Just out of interest, alcohol is a significant factor in apparently 40% of violent crime. And the rates of that tend, unsurprisingly, to be even higher nearer pubs and clubs, etc. And Medway's percentage is a slightly higher rate than the national average, so that is important to bear in mind. Paragraph 2, which is the prevention of public nuisance, again, our concern here is that increased hours do give the potential for increased noise disturbance, that's important, and nuisance from live and recorded music even later into the night. And that clearly would affect residents in that area. Paragraphs 3 and 4, which we've touched on, refer to public safety and the protection of children from harm. We've heard what he said, but I think our overall view on this is that any increased licensing hours would make these licensing objectives in practice even more difficult to comply with. A couple of final points that I would just make, and it's been referred to quite a bit in this hearing, but it is extremely important, and it's strange that I've actually written this down, so I'm going to say it. The Home Office and Medway Council guidance on cumulative impact areas is that applications for full licence variations, which is what this is, will normally be refused unless it can be demonstrated that the operation of the premises will be unlikely to add to the cumulative impact already being experienced, and will not adversely affect the licensing objectives. And I think that is very important. Finally, in summary, the impact area statement explains that it will apply to material variation applications for the sale of alcohol, etc. Given what is set out in the impact statement, and for the reasons set out fully in our representation at Appendix C, on balance, the Society would ask that this application be refused. I am happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Have you got any questions regarding the statement made by Mr. Webb?
Mr. Webb, you're an ex-licensing officer.
That's correct.
That's correct. So you had people approach you. Did you not ask them to lodge complaints themselves or objections?
Yes.
But none of them did?
It would appear not.
Right, okay, thank you.
The only other comment I'd make is, and again, it is a factual statement. Sometimes people are loath to have their name released in public. But to answer your question, they were told, but they obviously chose not to.
Is that the only question you have? Okay.
From us, we've got an amazing relationship with them. We've got Linda, lady across the road. So our local residents haven't complained at all to us, and we would make a log of that.
I mean, the point as well that I would just make is I completely accept what you're saying about people that are very close to the property, but if people are leaving premises, again, statement of fact, and they are intoxicated, their behaviour then can affect people living locally half a mile away, 3/4 of a mile away. Simple as that.
Just thank you very much, Mr. Webb. There's no more questions. Just to be clear, obviously the City of Rochester Society has a right to object, and they do have members. But we take your point on that. Members, any questions for Mr. Webb? No questions. Okay. you like to just add a finishing close before I come to the applicant on the final? Do you want anything to add before we close?
I think I've said it all, Chair.
Anything you'd like to add or a closing statement before we close?
Other than to reiterate my opening remarks, which is that we need to extend the hours for trade, and also to deal with a problem which may or may not be our problem, but it's a problem on our doorstep that we are trying to deal with. And as I've said, we're quite happy to put a restriction on the any licence so that we can't have admissions after 12:30, which will deal with a lot of the issues that you've had, and that will allow an orderly discharge of people, not having people coming in for the last drink, because they could be doing that now. But if we have that restriction on there, we won't be doing that.
Sorry, the only thing I can see with, I mean, by putting that restriction on there as well, though, is that obviously, you know, sometimes you've got like local residents, for example, or local pub owners, or you know, people coming up that you would be allowing them in. Obviously, you wouldn't turn them away because they're part of the community themselves, sort of thing. We've got people that staff and things like that that finished. We've got doormen that finish work in other venues. They'll come up. They're not intoxicated, but you know, it'd be sort of, it wouldn't be very nice to be turning people away for every single person, saying no one's getting in. But if a doorman out the road finishes,
I just want to be careful on this. On you know, I asked you to close, but now, because my question a minute ago was you'll not be letting on, and you said no, 100% no one. That doesn't mean, and now you're saying you're going to let local residents and public in. I don't want to mention people's names, but just for clarity, I don't know if you want to speak for a moment on your own. I asked you the question about, sorry, if I just clarify, I asked you the question whether you're going to be allowing, you know, as part of are you allowing people in? That when you're telling me no, that isn't your local residents, the lady across the road or anything. You're telling me, you said you weren't going to let anyone in. You can speak about it, but I need to be clear on that.
The clarification, if just to allow some late regulars, we would agree to 12:45, which would stop anyone coming.
12 will be your cut-off, will it?
sorry, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. I'm happy to put a time restriction, so nobody else will get in after 1 o'clock, definitely. But the other venues do close early sometimes, and like we go to theirs, they come to ours, and you can't say no to some people in that way. It makes it very awkward.
So that crowd outside could come in.
No, they couldn't. 100% that crowd coming out. The Joe public, the general public, would not be coming in there. It's the people in our industry, people that you know that for example, we've got a promotion guy called Alex. He comes in at 12:30 and takes videos of the night and puts it on social media. He might have a friend with him. It just makes it really hard to say 12:30. No, I want to be open because I don't want you to turn around and say, oh, that person got in. Alex would turn up with a friend who's holding up a light for him because he does all our social media videoing and things. Okay. I don't want to say no one's getting in.
You've made your closing statement. So we are going to make a decision this morning. So if I can ask everyone to leave, please, apart from the ones that are allowed to be. Thank you. Thank you very much, and sorry about the delay. We really appreciate your time this morning. So we have carefully considered the evidence in this case, both the application and your written and oral submissions, and the objection, both oral and written evidence. We have applied the law and had regard to our policies, and we also note that there is no attendance from any responsible authority at this hearing this morning. We have determined that whilst there is impact on the licensing objectives and the cumulative impact, this can be alleviated through an amendment of the application and the addition of a condition to the premises licence. We grant an extension of the licensable hours to 2 a.m. for Thursday, Friday and Saturday only at this time. We impose a condition that there is no admission to the public or customers from 12:30 a.m. This, in our minds, specifically addresses the public safety issues raised to us in this hearing and the evidence given. And that concludes the hearing today. Thank you very much. You'll get a written response within 5 days from Nicola from Democratic Services. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.